Alright, 7:40 on Friday night, and I need content, so we're just gonna do a Phantom Knight deck profile. I know, deck profiles are boring, but hey, we all need views. For those of you who need a little bit of entertainment, check out the side right there, and I think you'll find something worth paying attention to. Huh? Huh? Yeah, alright, let's get into this bad boy. So as you know, I've been playing Phantom Knights for about a year and a half now, so I think I've got the goo. So we're gonna start with the very basic 3 Torn Scales. Now, of course, Torn Scales is your main starter and extender. When you normal summon it, you can discard a card to send a card from your deck to the graveyard. The discard is cost, which is nice if you need to discard a PK name or a PK spell trap for arrival later. That's very good. And then, of course, you're always going to be binning either a PK monster or PK spell trap. Then it's got an effect where if you're banishing PK while this is in the graveyard, you can special summon this from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. That's fine. The banish effect won't really matter because 9 times out of 10, this is going to be under an Xyz material instead of leaving the graveyard. Next, for our 3 of Phantom Knights, we got 3 of the Boot. So Boot is a free special summon if you control a Phantom Knight, which is very important because 99% of the cards in this deck are extenders. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Phantom Knight spell trap card from your deck to your hand. 90% of the time, you're going to be getting the rank up magic to go into your Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon on your first turn, or you're going to be grabbing some interaction later on. Finally, we have 2 Ancient Cloak, which is great because you can banish it to add 1 of the Phantom Knights card to your hand. It doesn't grab Fog Blades, but it grabs everything else. You're probably going to be grabbing good old Boots off of it. For our 1-0s, we have the Staingreaves and the Ragged Gloves. Ragged Gloves, banish it to Foolish a Phantom Knight. You want to get this into your grave early in your turn 1 combo because that way you can get a Fogblade or a Wings into the graveyard to protect your combo against Nib, revive your Bardiche or anything you would need. And then the Staingreaves is an okay extender. The problem is you can't just special summon it by itself. It needs to happen when you special summon another Phantom Knight. The graveyard effect's nice of being able to special Phantom Knight from your hand, but it won't come up that often. What you're usually going to end up doing is you'll have a Torn Scales in your graveyard along with Cloak. You'll banish the Cloak. That'll add the Greaves to your hand. Then on a new chain, the Torn Scales will special summon itself, and then you can special summon the Staingreaves as an extender. And you can optionally make it a 4 if you need to, which sometimes comes up, but not usually. Then for the 3 of our honorary Phantom Knight, Kagemucha Knight. He's a 3. When you normal summon a 3, you can special summon from your hand. This goes really well with Tour Guide because that way you can chain block the Tour Guide's effect. You can still get Valord, but you can't do, like an Ash to it, which is nice. Speaking of Tour Guide, 3 Tour Guide, all different rarities, 1 different language. Isn't that fun? So Tour Guide's really good in this deck. Special summon a Fiend. Usually you're going to grab one of your BAs. You can also grab a Tour Guide later in the game once you've gone through your BA combo to go into like a Break Sword or something. Tour Guide's really exclusively good in this deck over Burning Abyss because you don't lock yourself out of your deck. Since Tour Guide's a 3, you can always go with your 3 special summoners, link it off, and do all sorts of shenanigans. Just it getting Ashed or Valord isn't the end of the world. For our BA package, we're running a Graph, a Seer, and a Libic because I fear God. So generally what you'll do is you'll normal the Tour Guide, get the Graph, go into the Burning Abyss Link Monster. Graph will trigger special summon Seer, and Link Monster into Bardiche. Seer will then revive Link Monster. The Libic is here because even though you're only running one of both the Burning Abysses, there's a non-zero chance you'll get one of them in your opening hand. So Libic's there as a send off of Cherubini or summon off of Tour Guide to get out of your hand and unclog it. Then we are running a Punk engine. So we're doing 1 Madam Spider, 1 Zeaman, and 1 Foxy Toon. So what's great about this is that the Zeaman and the Madam Spider are both 3s, and the Foxy Toon is a special summon from deck by discarding a card, which you can discard any of your PKs or any of your trap cards that are acting as Monster Reborns. What's nice about this too is as long as you draw either one of these, you have full Punk combo. And then Madam Spider, she's fine, but she gets you a trap card to hand, which can either act as additional disruption, or it can be a discard fodder for your Torn Scales. Finally, for our monsters, we are running a Tracker and a Wielder. They're psychic, so you can grab them off of E-Tally, and they're 3s, and you can special summon them if you control a 3. They're great. Speaking of E-Tally, 1, 2, 3. Did you know this card's not once per turn? So if you draw 2, it's not dead. So this, of course, lets you start your Pump combo. Just immediately get the Zeaman. You can use it to get one of your Psychic Wielders out as well. Very, very strong. And it is a quick effect. Then we're running 3 Triple Tactics. This is for Kashtira mostly. Since the Kashtira monster's effect is mandatory, you can always just grab it on your turn when you got the Tactics in hand using the Mind Control effect, and then crash, and then go for your combo through there. Very nice and clean out. If you're going first and your opponent nibs you or ashes you, this is a good way to recover. You're never really going to use the Confiscation effect just because I feel like taking away 1 card isn't as impactful as it used to be. Decks are so strong that having 1 starter, you get to see your entire deck. Finally, for our 1-0s, we have the Rank Up Magic Force. This will be part of your main turn 1 combo. Quick effect during your opponent's main phase, you can activate it, banish a Dark Monster up to the number of levels you want to summon for your Xyz monster. So you're on a 4, you banish 1 to make a 5, 2 to make a 6, so on and so forth. Having it be a quick effect rank up 2 is very good because you can dodge removal on your opponent's turn. You can dodge stuff like evenly and still have 3 negates. Then we have Rhoda, just to grab any warrior, which is, all the Phantom Knights, and a Called By to protect you against any hand traps or to disrupt your opponent on their turn. For trap cards, we have triple Fog Blade. You can argue for 2, but 3 is always nice. I like the redundancy. Fog Blade's great. It is both a Fiendish Chain and a Monster Reborn on a trap card. Then for one-ofs, we have 1 Dangerous Gabu and 1 Wing. So Wing exists as another revival spell to send off of your Torn Scales or off of your gloves, and its indestructible effect comes up a non-zero amount of times. Dangerous Gabu is the search target for Madam Spider. It is essentially just another monster negate. Finally, we're running 2 Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is just a great card. It's a hand trap, it's a normal trap. You can turn off one of their spell trap zones, never leave home without it. Now let's get on the extra deck. So for our 3s, we're doing 1 Levier and 2 Break Sword. Break Sword's for redundancy because you need 1 for your main combo, and then you always want 1 as backup. And Levier is there as part of your main combo. In your main combo, to make Appaloosa, you're going to use Levier to revive 1 of your banished PKs. Then you'll have 3 monsters worth 4 material with your Cherubini out, and you can go into Appaloosa. The Break Swords are there to pop itself to make 2 4s on your first turn, so you can go into Dark Rebellion and then rank up on your opponent's turn. It's spot removal if you're going second, and if you're going for the OTK, you can pop itself to make the Raiders Knight and then go into Arc Rebellion. Speaking of Raiders Knight, 1 Raiders Knight. So you make it by popping your own Break Sword to make 2 4s, go into it, and then you can rank up into an Arc Rebellion. You don't want to rank up into the Dark Requiem because Dark Requiem does not have effects if there is no Dark Rebellion. One thing people often forget is that Raiders Knight can also rank down. So if you need spot removal of any kind, for some reason, you can just go into a Break Sword again and start the loop all over. Next, for our Dragon package, we've got Dark Rebellion, Dark Requiem, and Arc Rebellion. The boys, the lads. Now, the Dark Requiem, Dark Rebellion is not optimal, but I like it, so it's in there. So Dark Rebellion, what it does is you can detach 2 materials to have an opponent's monster gain that much attack. Sucks, but sometimes it comes up. Its main purpose is to go into this bad boy right here, Dark Requiem. Dark Requiem has these effects when Dark Rebellion is underneath it. Detach 1, negate an opponent's monster's effect, destroy it, and then revive a Dark Xyz monster from your graveyard. You need to bring back a Break Sword, so you can trigger its effects again, or put it into a Bardiche zone to pop something. And destroying is really great because you just cannot leave link material on your opponent's boards in today's day and age. This other effect is a draining effect. Target opponent's monster loses its attack, and then you gain that much attack. Great for going for OTKs. Arc Rebellion, it's got a Dark Ruler, so you detach material from it, negate the effects of all other monsters on the battlefield permanently, not till end of turn, then gain attack equal to their original attack, and then it can be the only monster that attacks for the rest of the turn, and it cannot be destroyed by card effect, which is important because the Raiders Knight destroys the monster it summons, but this is immune to that. One thing you gotta keep in mind is, if you're trying to go for a game, make sure you have 8,000 plus whatever you're hitting, because since this is only original attack, if they're being pumped by any way, it might screw up your math a little bit. Finally, we're playing an Xyz deck, so 1 Zeus. I just like having him there. He's the auto escape button, the backup plan. Sometimes he just wins the game on his own. Then for Link monsters, for rank 2s, we have 1 Dark. We're in a Dark deck. Makes sense to have him. Generic Link 2, and sometimes you just get stuff back. 1 Nightmare Phoenix. Link 2, generic, can pop 1 spell or trap card. And Cherubini, your turn 1 combo extender. You go into it with 2 monsters, any 2 level 3s, and then it sends a card from your deck to the graveyard for cost. So sometimes your opponents will get tripped up, they'll try to ash it, and you say, alright, cool. And then you continue. And then we have our Link 3, Rusty Bardiche. So this is your end goal for most of your combos. He can send a card from your deck to the graveyard and then set a spell trap card from your Phantom Knights monsters. What's important to note is that the send to graveyard is not cost. It is part of the effect, which is unfortunate. So if it gets ashed, the entire effect is ashed, and the entire effect is Veilered if it's Veilered. You know what I mean. We have 1 Nightmare Unicorn to go into if we need it. Just a quick effect, spin something away. Great to have. For our 4s, 1 Appaloosa, turn 1 combo. You're going to have 3 negates on it. And then Access Code Talker as the other emergency button. It's the Link version of Zeus. Sends stuff without targeting. Gets pretty big. The only problem with this one is because most of our monsters are darks. Like, the only non-dark Link monster we're running are Appo and Phoenix. You're not going to get as many pops as you would in another deck, but most of the time, 1 or 2 is all you really need. And that's it for the deck profile. Let's go through a few combos. So your bread and butter combo with Tour Guide is very, very simple. Normal to Tour Guide, pray to God you don't get ashed. Go into your graph, link them both off. Go into Cherubini, Graph Effect will trigger. You'll special summon your Seer. Make sure to always put it in a zone that Cherubini points to, just in case your opponent has some sort of disruption. Then you'll activate Cherubini for cost, send something. In this scenario where you've been uninterrupted till now, you really want to be sending your gloves over anything else. This way you can protect yourself against nibbing, because right now you're at 4 summons. So if there's a nib and you go into your Bardiche, that'll be summon number 5. They'll nib you because they think you're done. Then you can just go banish gloves, grab a sword, banish the sword, bring back your Bardiche, and go from there. Speaking of Bardiche, we're going to go these two into Rusty Bardiche, which they need to print a better rarity of this card. Then Seer's going to trigger in your graveyard, and you'll bring back the Cherubini. Put it in an unoccupied zone, because you'll need your Bardiche zones. Bardiche is going to activate, and then we are going to want to summon our Torn Scales into our graveyard, and then we're going to want to set a Fog Blade. So the reason why we want to send Torn Scales is because that way we have more extenders from this point. It'll automatically come out once you do your gloves. If you were to send your cloak, you can't get your Torn Scales because you've already used your normal summon. You can grab your boots, but then your combos are limited, as that's the only special summon you'll really have in hand, assuming the only card in your hand is Tour Guide. You'll have other extenders, but this is off of a 1 card. So at this point, you're going to banish your gloves to send something, and since you have not been interrupted at this point yet, you are going to want to go and send your cloak so you can get your boots to your hand. And then your Torn Scales will trigger and special summon itself because you banished a Phantom Knight. Then you're going to want to banish your cloak to add a boots to your hand. Now we're just going to assume we have a card in our hand. We're going to discard that, and we're going to send Wing to our graveyard. We don't really want the Greaves in our graveyard because it just doesn't really accomplish much for us. Having this as a free revive is going to be much more important for the combo down the line. So now we're going to special summon our boots. We're going to overlay for our Leviar the Sea Dragon. We're going to detach from Leviar. Usually I want to send something that I don't mind going to the graveyard. So we want Torn Scales gone just in case I have a DD Crow, because we still need to use the effect of our boots yet. We'll bring back our Ancient Cloak, specifically Ancient Cloak. Why? Because you can use this effect, turn to defense, increase the Bardiche by 800 until the end of your opponent's turn. This comes up a non-zero amount of time. You can only be cleared by a 3k attacker now. And then you're going to link these 3 off for your 3 material Appaloosa. So right now, we have a fine end board. It's good for locals, won't get you much farther. So this is our end board off of 1 card, assuming we have no extenders, which is not bad at all. A tour guide got us all the way here with nothing else. If you have another extender of any kind, let's say you also happen to have a tracker in hand once you're at this point, what you can do is banish the Wing to bring back any of your Phantom Knights. At this point, you probably want to bring back the Torn Scales because he's the least useful in the graveyard because you've already used him. Then you can special summon your tracker. You can overlay them for a Break Sword. This will trigger your Rusty Bardiche because an Xyz monster is summoned to his zone he points to. You'll pop the Break Sword. Break Sword's effect will trigger, and you like to revive 2 PKs. I would personally grab the Torn Scales and the Cloak because you still need your boots. You overlay these 2, and you want to do it in a zone that Bardiche does not point to, and you're going to go into your Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Then you'll banish your boots to grab yourself a rank up magic. You're going to set the rank up magic. Then when you go to your opponent's turn, you're going to rank up by banishing your Cherubini into Dark Requiem. So now you have 7 monster negates, 3 on Appaloosa, 3 on Dark Requiem, 1 off Fog Blade. You have recoverability in that if your Fog Blade's gone, you get to revive it, anything. The Dark Requiem, of course, negates and destroys. If you destroy something on field, you can revive the Break Sword into the Bardiche's zone and get another pop, which is really important. And then on your opponent's turn, you can always crash it or pop it yourself to get some form of recovery with your PKs. And this is just off of a tour guide, an extender, and 1 random card in hand for the discard. This deck is very fun. I enjoy playing it a lot, and I hope you'll enjoy it too for this meta. It's a very, very, very solid rogue deck. It'll never be tier 1, but it'll always be fun to do at locals, and you get to live out the dream of doing the YouTube combo every single time. For your opponent's turn, you're just going to want to focus on turboing out into Arc Rebellion. That'll be involving some form of popping your own Break Sword, and then just Arc Rebellion OTKing from there. It's not very hard to do at all. You just need 2 monsters that are 3s and maybe PKs. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below letting me know how dumb I am for trying to make a Phantom Knights deck in 2023, and let me know about how all my tech choices are actually wrong. I'll see you again next week.